have to work out every day? All right, so you want to know why you have to work out? And I'm guessing just because isn't going to cut it. It doesn't work with my kids anymore. They're old enough to the point where they have their own opinions and their own ideas, and they want to make sure my reason is good enough for their opinions and reasons. So the real reason why you have to work out, I'm going to break it down to 3 steps, or 3 stages really. And honestly, the first 2 are 2 ways that you won't be able to work out, at least long term. And then the final one will be the real reason why you are able to stick with this for long term, really make it a habit for the rest of your life. Before I really dive into the reason of why you need to work out, I'm going to tell you how you can develop the habit of working out first. Like I said, 3 stages. The very first one is motivation. Motivation is a feeling. It's going to really get you started. It's that inside, that desire to want to try something new, whatever it may be, working out or a new hobby, a new sport, a new skill, whatever it may be, that feeling inside, right? The problem with motivation though is that it's temporary. It's a feeling. Feelings change all the time, right? Today you may feel motivated to work out. Tomorrow you may not. Tomorrow you may feel like staying on the couch and vegging all day. So motivation only gets you started. It does not last. All right, number 2 is willpower. Now, willpower can be very strong, but it's all about being in the moment. All right, making that decision in the moment, taking action right then and there. So example would be like if you've ever been skydiving or bungee jumping, or maybe on just a roller coaster. You know, if you're skydiving and you're flying up in the plane, you've got your parachute on, and the moment comes where they slide open that door and you're holding the door and you're right there trying to decide what to do, that's willpower. Do you go all the way in or do you push back? That snap decision of I'm going, that's willpower. But again, willpower doesn't last. It's about the moment, it's immediate, it's temporary. So it's not gonna make you develop that long-term habit of working out or whatever it may be. And the last one, you may have guessed it already, is discipline. Now, nobody likes the D word, right? No one really wants to be disciplined, right? Because that means they might have to do something that they don't feel like doing. So if you're already disciplined, it's really more of a freeing kind of feeling. You don't have to have those arguments with yourself of, you know, the excuses that you run through your head and arguing with yourself whether you should do things or not. Discipline is just a given. It's something you do without not even really thinking about it, whether you feel like it or not. It's just you do it every single day. Now, the issue is, how do you develop discipline? How do you do something long enough that it becomes a habit? Well, those first 2, the motivation and willpower, that's where those come in. You got to do those 2 long enough until you can develop the discipline for something, working out, right? So the first 2, that's the problem, is that they're temporary and feelings change and willpower fades. So how do you keep those 2 things alive long enough to create discipline long term? So there's 2 things you can do that'll help you sustain those first 2 things. And number 1, you gotta have some skin in the game, right? So when it comes to motivation, you gotta have some skin in the game. You gotta be invested somehow, some usually external way invested into it. So for example, if you wanna start working out, maybe you purchased a program, an online program, or maybe you hired a personal trainer. Those kinds of things, when you're shelling out, you know, $300, $400, $500 every month for a personal trainer, that's going to keep you at least committed long enough that that motivation should last, right? Shelling out that $500 every month, that'll keep you going for a little while. The second one for willpower is really removing any temptation. So my wife, she makes some of the best chocolate chip cookies I have ever had. And I've got a sweet tooth, and it's, in fact, a couple of years ago, my kids got me a Cookie Monster t-shirt because they call me the Cookie Monster. I love cookies. I love baked goods. Going to the grocery store and walking through the bakery department is like heaven. Just the smell of fresh baked bread, and it just smells so good. So what do? She used to bake like 2 batches of cookies, every couple weeks. And she had to start making 2 batches because I would literally eat the cookie dough or eat them right after they came out of the oven, an entire first batch by myself. And then the rest of the family would share the rest. And so I lacked willpower when it came to that. So I had to remove that temptation. And so now she only makes them once a month, maybe a couple months. And so I had to remove those temptations, those cookies, out of the house. Otherwise, I know I'm going to cave eventually. That willpower might last for the first, couple passes when I'm walking through the kitchen, but eventually I know if I keep going to the kitchen, I'm going to grab a cookie, I'm going to stick my finger in the cookie dough, I'm going to do something. So you got to remove that temptation. All right, so those 2 things will help you keep your motivation and keep your willpower, at least for a little bit longer, right? So you maintain motivation and willpower long enough, eventually after a few days, turns into a few weeks, maybe in a couple months, you wake up one morning and you've got discipline. It's a habit. You don't have to think about it. It's a given. You do it without even thinking or arguing with yourself. So why is this so important to the Ironworks coaching program? It's because of what it takes to develop discipline. I know if you're going to challenge yourself in your thoughts and making excuses of why you shouldn't work out, or the feelings behind, I don't feel like working out. Eventually, I know when you overcome those thoughts and feelings, I know building and focusing on those other weak areas in your life that you want to attack, whether it's relationship stuff with your wife, with your kids, or with yourself. I know you're going to be able to challenge yourself and work through those feelings and thoughts just like you did when it came to working out. So there you have it, guys. That's why you have to work out. It's not just about being physical, which is an important part, but it's going to challenge you mentally and emotionally as well to fight through that. It's a simple way to challenge your own thoughts and challenge your own feelings.